And my dad happened to be coming over, I think, and whatever he was over, and I happened to, talk to him, and he said, "Oh, that's a good idea. It has blah 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 blah," and
But it wasn't his to give. That's all I'm saying.
right,
His name wasn't on it.
right,
That's all I'm saying. Okay. I feel better.
yeah. Now you told the whole world.
That's right.
Great.
So listen,
So at the end of
the
the day,
important thing is communication, conversation. Hello, hello, hello. We are back.
we are back. I hope you missed us because we missed you.
Totally. I'm Dr. Paula C. Perez.
And I am Pastor John E. Perez. We're here tonight to talk about a topic that my wife and I have been talking about for 15 years. And we don't have all the answers. So hopefully, maybe you can help us so we can help others.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about.
And hopefully, you can see the light.
Yes. We're going to talk about this topic I came up with, what's in a name? And it's talking about blended marriages. When I got married to Dr. Paula, so what are my teenage daughters and almost teenage son? What should they call her? It's funny because when we fill out insurance forms, stepmother is what we put in when we first got married. But what is the name? And I think that to this day, it's a struggle. For us, it was when you're younger and they're toddlers. Maybe you could do a little. It's a little easier to work that name in. But when they're quasi adults, what is in the name? And we really wanted to talk about it because we know it's a pain point.
And it's something that so many of us are dealing with because there's so many of us that are remarried or married for the first time, but to someone that was divorced or even widowed that have children. It's something that a whole bunch of us are dealing with. And it's really interesting because culturally, there are differences as well. As you all know, my husband is Puerto Rican. He refers to his kids as Puerto Rican because their mom is Polish.
Yes.
So they're Puerto Ricans.
They're Puerto Ricans.
That grew up in a white world.
Correct.
So very different norms and expectations. And when we are coaching clients, one of the things we talk about a great deal are their expectations for marriage, because that's a lot of times where the conflict comes from. You don't see eye to eye. And because you enter into the relationship with a lot of assumptions and just assume that everybody interacts with children, with adults, the same way they did in your household as you were growing up. Yeah. And that's not the case.
So let me give you a rewind. She said Puerto Rican. So just fun fact. So I was 16 years old and my friend, Tom, was getting married to his wife, Elaine. She's Puerto Rican. He's Polish. So out of the mouths of babes, right? I said, wait a minute. You're Puerto Rican. She's Polish. Hey, you're going to have Puerto Ricans. And they laughed. I laughed. It's something that kind of stuck. But then fast forward 5 years later, whoop, guess what I did? The very same thing. So you got to be careful what you say. So that's where the terminology came from. But I think the hardest thing when you talk about terminology, and I remember my oldest child, confronting Dr. Paula, said, "You are not my mother. I have one.
I have a mother.
I have a mother.
And I don't need no more friends.
And I don't need any more friends."
She was 21 when
20,
she said that. Was Matt 11 or 12?
Matt was...
Then she was
12.
22. Okay, so she was 22.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I have never had a child, and to me, a 22-year-old is still a child.
Not to her.
I've never had a child speak to me that way. So already I was like, oh, okay, this is different.
But I think it's also different because it was a very tumultuous divorce.
Mm,
It was a very heated divorce. It was
contentious.
contentious and in the beginning, where they were living and how they separated out. And look, it was a very difficult thing. Then to get through divorce, and then to have their father look to get remarried. Um,
A couple years later,
literally 2 years after the fact. I got divorced in February 26, 2008 at 3:30 in the afternoon. And then I got remarried in December 18th, 2010. So for all you mathematicians, I'll let you play with it. But what's in a name? Because I think it's important. And as we now coach, we're more sensitive to that. So if we know, if you have young children, okay, I think they've got time to grow with the relationship. But if you got grown adults, what are they going to call her? Mom?
And
grandma?
It's hard,
Mima? What are they going to call her?
In our relationship, they call me the girls call me by my first name. The son, he just starts conversations.
Correct. Matt doesn't address me by name. Yeah, Matt hasn't figured out. Cute. Is like, I don't want to be impolite because I know better.
Disrespectful.
Or disrespectful because, and the thing is that when we got married, Matt was 12. So he's kind of grown through this evolution. And Matt was there when at the wedding. Yeah. He was there just about every step of the way. And I remember Matt and I were at McDonald's, and I sat him down and we were talking, and I said, "Hey, I got something to tell you." I didn't even finish the sentence. He goes, "You're getting married. Here's this other thing. Can I be in the wedding? I want to be the best man." Literally, my son didn't. He says,
fully on board.
You're getting married? I want to be a part. Do I get to wear a tuxedo? And can I wear it the next day to school? That's all that was his like 4 things. Yes, he got to wear it. Yes, he was in the wedding. Yes, he was the junior best man. And it all happened, right? And he was there. So, but what's in a name? And I think it's so important that we identify those names. We have those conversations, not only with yourselves, but with the children, because you're bringing in for them an alien, a foreigner, somebody that they've only known their mom and or father. So, and we were trying to discuss saying, is it easier when it's the female and the new husband, or is it easier when it's the husband with the new wife? I don't know. Either way, it's interesting. Let's put it that way.
We want to hear from you. Have you struggled with this? There's even in our coaching program, we've dealt with people that are divorced and one or both have children. And how do you navigate those waters? In our relationship, we never sat down with the kids and said, okay, this is what I'd like you to call me. We've never had done that. And so as a result, for me, what do we call her, is still an issue because now we have grandchildren. So
yes, she's
2.
She's 2 going on 50 already.
But as she grows, I have feelings of what I'd like to be called, but.
Well, so I think that we're going to have this conversation with Caitlin and address it because I don't think just saying, "Hey, you," works.
And
or
again,
whatever.
culturally,
it's
when we were growing up, you better put a handle on it. So it's Miss Sally, Mr. Joe, Auntie, Gammy, something, never the first name.
And the thing I can tell you with the kids, they really didn't. They had my 3 sisters, and they called them Aunt whatever, Aunt whatever, Aunt whatever, and that was it. They have an uncle, and they don't even call their uncle. No, they don't. They call her by her first name. They don't say Aunt whatever. I don't want to say it on the air, but they don't say Aunt Jill. I think they just say Jill.
But anyway, it's something that many families have to navigate. And I remember before I got married, I have a number of single friends who have children. And I remember I write about it in my book, Delayed Not Denied, how I became my best on my journey to
#1
love and,
bestseller on Amazon.
and marriage. In one of the scenes that I write about, I share how I went out with some girlfriends and one of them had to bring their child. I grew up in an era where children are seen and not heard, especially when you have an adult conversation. So the three women were talking, and then this son keeps interjecting. And the first time I was like, okay, somebody gonna say something to this child. And finally I said, this is an A-B conversation. You need to see your way out of it. Well, his mom took great offense to that. Great offense. And when we got back, my other girlfriend, who did not bring her child, she said, Paula, you can't do that. That's somebody else's kid. So when we got married, she said, I don't care what John says. They are not your kids. And that has stuck in my head. So when they were younger, I would give suggestions. I would, give input to John, but seldom in front of the kids because that I was very cognizant that I didn't birth these babies. So for me, that has been an internal struggle that honestly I'm still dealing with because there's just so many things that, expectations, what is done in one household versus another. And it created some issues for us, especially early on in our relationship, because we didn't see things eye to eye. And we didn't feel that the way that we teach love, show love, etc., was very different. Very different. So do you care to elaborate?
Yes. I think that I'll just admit it. I did a very poor job in setting this up right. I think for me, while I spoke to them, they knew I was getting married.
And we're asked to be apart.
And they chose to opt out.
The girls did.
And that was difficult. Number one, I didn't think that they would pull back, but I also, at many years later, not even that long ago, but we kind of understood the why. And I get it. But the hardest thing was really when they first came over on the first weekend or on those weekends. And we had a pretty much regimented schedule. And, they didn't want to do anything. They just wanted to sit down, watch TV, and vegetate. But the setup in the beginning could have been a whole lot better, but I was still dealing with a lot of pain and heartache, and trying to just navigate that was a full-time job. And that was the hard part.
I wonder, as the adults in this situation, when you are ready to move on, does the timing of that ever enter your mind? Do you feel like, I want to get married and I believe I found the one, but it's just too much for the kids right now? I wonder, y'all let me know in the audience if that's you.
Yeah, and I can tell you, so the other side of the story. So my mom, when she got divorced to my father, she never remarried. She stayed a single mom. And her reason was, and I thought it was valid. I mean, we understand the validity of it. She says, I have three young girls and a boy. I do not want to bring a man in this house because I'm concerned about my daughters. And she, because of that, chose not to remarry nor find love again, because at the best interest of her children, she chose not to. And hindsight being what it is, I understand why she did it. My sisters were as young as
Well, we don't have to share all of
but they were
details.
young. But they were young. But anyway, it doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, what matters is that people make sacrifices for their children, and sometimes they sacrifice their own happiness because of it, because we're looking to, protect our children. But how? Again, I go back to it. What's in a name? It's very important. What's in a name to that spouse that you're bringing in? Are you going to call him Uncle Steve? Are you going to call him Aunt Mary? Are they, or what are you, Mrs.? No, so I think we need to have those conversations, and I think the kids need to have it or be involved in it somewhat. You can't just say, hey, I'm getting married, tough. That doesn't fly. But I just saw what pain it caused, not only for the kids, but I think the dysfunction for Paula. And, and then again, she says it from a cultural and traditional standpoint. My kids didn't follow any norms. There weren't any norms. They lived within a bubble, and that bubble burst one day. And I'm the one that burst the bubble. And that caused a lot of pain.
And we talked about that briefly in the last podcast, where we were talking about, unfortunately, divorce does happen. There is not a family on the planet that does not have someone in their family that has gone through this. But as you do, I just think as adults, we need to be mindful of the children that are involved, even the adult children. It's not easy. I don't care what the age. You could be married with children, and to hear that your parents are divorcing is still devastating. It takes you right back to your childhood, to that little girl, to that little boy. And the knowledge that what you thought would last forever is being ripped apart. It's painful. So I don't care the age. There needs to be conversations. There needs to be, hopefully, respectful dialogue. But for anyone who has been divorced that is considering remarriage, I highly suggest that you get with a coach, you get with a counselor. We are here to help you through this process, because there are some things that you need to really navigate. One of the things we did not really talk about before we got married was discipline. Or, how do you feel about cars? How do you feel about
planes?
What
automobiles.
So in our household, we weren't just given cars. We weren't just given anything. The attitude was, God bless the child that has his own. And we were given an expectation that we would work for what we had, for what we got. As a result, I entered a marriage with that same philosophy, that there's no sense of entitlement, that when I turn X age, I'm going to get. I didn't grow up that way. But John wanted something different for the kids.
Oh, you want me to fill in the blanks now? So what she's talking about.
No, let me tell the story. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen.
It'll be funnier when you hear it from her side, because then I can just,
okay, he's going to correct it.
I can add some clips.
But let me say, my father-in-law was visiting with us, and John wasn't there. I don't know where he was. But we were sitting and talking, and he said, "Oh, it's so sweet that you gave," and then named a child. Your dad named the child a car. It's the first I'm hearing about this. So I played it off. Oh yeah, that's something. When he gets home, I find out that he's turned over the car that I brought into our relationship, to our marriage, over to one of the kids.
Correct.
without my approval.
Yes.
So anyway, we need to have discussion about these things because that caused some issues early on in our relationship. And it's easy to say, I'm just going to disregard and bulldoze through, and you don't understand, and this is why they need it. And if we're in a position to help, why shouldn't we help? All that's fine and good. All I'm saying is we all need to have a conversation about these things.
You feel better now?
Years with that on my chest. I got it all. Thank you.
And see, this is therapeutic for just not everybody listening, but also therapeutic for the ones that are talking.
Yes.
So, yes. So,
but you have to admit you would handle that differently today.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I want to hear.
What do you always say? When you know better, you do
you
better?
You do better, yes.
So I do better now because I know better. But at the time, my daughter needed transportation to and from school.
Okay. Try not to give identifying information. That's the child. Anyway.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Anyway, the child, who should remain nameless, needed transportation. I made a overarching corporate decision, and there was a car that I decided that it would be best to give her that car for her to go back and do what she needed to do. And my dad happened to be coming over, I think, and whatever he was over, and I happened to, talk to him, and he said, "Oh, that's a good idea. It has blah, 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 blah." And
but it wasn't his to give. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
His name wasn't on it.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Okay. I feel better.
Yeah. Now you told the whole world.
That's right.
Great.
So listen.
So at the end of the day,
the important thing is communication, conversation.
Communication, conversation, and everybody, it's a win-win for everybody. Now, I didn't know what the outcome would be. I just knew that there was somebody who was in need, and I had the means to make it happen. And I just unilaterally did it. I did. I'm not going to sit here and lie on this, but I did. And it caused some friction. And yep. And most of you guys are saying, ooh, yeah, you can say whatever you want. But at the end of the day, yep, I made this. And most of us have made those kind of decisions.
So there's so many things to talk about before you get married.
Right. Like, who's going to make any decisions about anything? And how are you going to make decisions? And how are you going to come together and make a decision? You're going to have that 24-hour rule before you make any purchases. Are you going to do this?
And what's the max?
And what's the max
that you would spend?
Right. Are you going to have those decisions? Or are you just going to do a unilateral, I'm the king of the castle, and you're going to go out and just rubber stamp whatever you do? It really needs to be discussed, because it will come back and bite you. Not then, but 1 year down the road, 2 years down the road,
or on a podcast,
it will come back to bite you. And vis-a-vis, that's exactly what's happening right now, because as we were kind of doing this, she goes, "You mind if I talk about the car?" I said, "You're going to talk about the car regardless of what I have to say anyway. So let's just talk about the car, because somebody out there can benefit from
please don't do that.
My way of how this was done. So the benefit is, have the conversation.
Yes.
That's really the benefit. I'm just giving you in hindsight, that look, I didn't have all the answers, and I made a decision, and I'm still feeling the whiplash. Forgiven maybe, but not forgotten. So anywho, that was the story.
Yes.
And it was painful.
Yes.
It was painful. And it's funny. That wasn't funny, actually. But it happened. We learned from it, and we grew exponentially. 15 years later, I am smarter than I was in 2010.
Amen.
I am. I'm smarter than I was even yesterday.
This is true.
But if these are the bumps that you're going to hit, and these are the craters that you're going to make and you're going to fall into, please plan ahead for not to fall into them.
And we strongly urge you to seek help.
Seek Jesus too.
Amen. Definitely seek
Pray
the
about
Lord. Definitely pray about it.
And
but also seek wise counsel.
Yes. And remember this, that your wife has discernment too. And your wife has the Holy Spirit too, if she's saved, right? So don't think that she doesn't, and that the only discernment you've got is the one that rules the house. Because I will tell you now, you will rule the day that that's the way you think it is. If you're living in a world where you are saying that it's a 51-49 split, you might be split. And not in the way you want to be split. And I think, look, some of the ways and traditions and the things that we saw culturally and how we were raised and how we saw our parents do whatever they do. Yes, you saw them, but it's not for you to follow them and duplicate. It's about being able to realize that maybe that worked for mom and dad, but it doesn't work for me. And maybe I got to find out what does work for us. And that's really what we're trying to say, because when we came out with and said we're going to name this piece, What's in a Name, it's not. It's more than just the name. It's the thought and the conversation that goes behind it for that name to really resonate and mean something. And if you're not going to do those things prior to, and you wait some time, it will come back and snap you in the head. So why have pain if you don't have to have pain?
Amen.
So let's treat it like, for example, going to the dentist, right? It's a good thing. Preventative maintenance, going to the doctor.
Yes.
These are all stuff that we can do, and sometimes we don't do. And we then, when we find out years down the road that you've got high blood pressure, could it, I'm not saying it could have been prevented, but could you have been taking care of it all these years? So here, take care of it today so you don't have to worry about it tomorrow. And if you're thinking that, oh, I can't talk about it now, well, when are you going to talk about it?
Amen.
Because that's the big problem.
Sometimes that's the benefit of having a coach. Maybe you don't feel comfortable having the conversation by yourself, but when there's a third, fourth party listening in and coaching you as you have these conversations, oftentimes it can be very helpful, because you have two people that are not emotionally connected to the situation that can give you some insights and discern what's going on in the relationship.
So that's why we stress the saving your marriage before it starts. But saving your marriage before it starts also includes having dialogue with a coach that can help you and understand it. Hey, this is the way I'm walking. What do you think about this? Oh, wait, you might want to come back 3 steps and go to the right. Why? Because I think if you go any further, you really don't know that behind door number 1 is a trap door that you're going to fall and break your neck. But if somebody's already been through that door, they can let you know, and you don't go through.
Before you say I do, that's the name of our coaching program. Before you say I do, we really want you to examine every area of your life. We are often caught up in the emotion and the fun and the love and the warm, fuzzy feelings, and we don't have the difficult conversations. You know, there's some parents that spank. Well, is that what you expect in your household? I hope not. There's some families that do allowances. Others that feel, no, they need to get a job. Others that just give their kids money whenever they need. All of those things. Or a credit. Oh, Lord Jesus. How do you feel about technology? Are you giving them a phone at 10? I hope not. If you do, a dummy phone.
9.
Oh, but all of those things, there's so many things to think about when it comes to blending a family together. I know someone, I appreciated how they entered their marriage. There was a young child. The child was maybe in pre-K, kindergarten at the maybe first grade, someplace, but young. And the couple involved, one of the spouses said, the spouse that wasn't the biological parent said, "This is for keeps, and I want both of you." And he adopted the other child and gave his name to the child. So there's so many things to think about. When you have children and changing your name, how are you going to feel at the school when you have a different last name from your child? Are you going to hyphenate your name? There's so many things to consider.
And you don't, because sometimes you get caught up in it, you don't see what's around the corner. Now, you can tell me that you've done it before, but every time you do it is something different.
Amen.
Every relationship is not the same, because and or if you've been in a relationship with someone, you weren't married but you have children, where is the priority of the children? Where is that priority?
Mhm.
And that priority needs to be with every decision you make. And as in my case with my mom, she made a overarching decision that I am staying celibate
Mhm.
because I am not
Parading men through this house.
correct. And
And
because
that's
she had
great.
3 young babies,
Mhm.
she decided that that was the best thing to protect
Mhm.
her children. Now, some of you, maybe you said, I'm going to wait until they're 18 before I get remarried, because they'll be in college or they'll be on their own. And,
Mhm.
that's, I can hold out for 5 years. I can hold out for whatever years, because the security of my child is more important. Or you might start having conversations with whomever before you start dating and saying, look, mommy is looking to maybe whatever. And
Mhm.
if the child is, you know, adult enough to take the conversation or mature enough, you might start doing that.
Mhm.
Now, that's another way to do it.
But yeah, again, just think about your boundaries. So, what is it you're willing to do? What are the don't cross this line? What are the I can compromise on that? You need to think about every aspect
Yeah, and
of your
it's not that
relationship.
we're saying we're giving you a long laundry list. What we're doing is we're trying to provide you with some preventative maintenance. We're trying to say, look, these are the things that can help you, not for today, but
Mhm.
in the long term.
For instance, when we got married, as you know, it was very quick from start to finish, 4 months. So, as an educator, I've never birthed children of my own, but I've always said I'm the mother to none, yet mother to all, because I was always with somebody's kid, not babies, but And as a result, we chose to live around the corner from the kids because we wanted that transition to be much easier than if we had picked up and moved to a completely different town. So, a lot to think about, a
And that was a
lot to
sacrifice.
consider.
She was commuting from 5 minutes to an hour.
That
that
was
was
the change in time.
yeah, that was tough.
Mhm.
I was commuting 2 hours a day one way, and
Mhm.
I was before living like 5 minutes away from the train station, and then now going back to 30-minute drive to the train station, hour and a half drive to New York City,
Yeah.
and then 15-minute walk, yada yada yada. By the time
So,
it
yeah.
was there were long, strenuous days,
Mhm.
but it was difficult. But we sacrificed in the beginning because we knew we were trying to make this transition work. And then it just we needed to make it. We needed to stretch out a little bit and say we need to cut Paula's commute down a half hour.
Mhm.
My job had changed, what allowed me to work from home. So we found a place that it was halfway between her
Mhm.
job and the kids. It was a midway point,
Mhm.
and we felt that that would work for everyone. But again, even that can cause some trauma. But at the end of the day, what's in a name? What's important? It's not the name sometimes. It's how you can, it's what's behind the name that makes it important. And was it thought out methodically, strategically? to come up with something that really bears who that person is and honors that person at the same time. And that way everyone can come to agreement. We're going to call you Auntie Joe. We're going to call you Mom, whatever it is. But whatever it is, everyone's agreed on it. And everyone can now say, you know what? Yeah, that works for me. And we all had a mutual part of this decision. It wasn't shoved down our throat.
Right.
And we collectively as a unit came up with this piece. And again, when you're trying to blend families, it's exactly what the word says, blend. Blend it so that to everyone on the outside, it is one contiguous line. It is not a jagged edge. And I think those are things that are important.
So if you need help in this area,
yes,
we invite you to connect with us. Please look at the show notes. Our contact info is in there. And we invite you to connect with us and be looking out. We're going to start doing some master classes again for the singles. So look out for that. And we're just glad that you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone else.
Please.
And until next week, we'll see you.
Come back. And you know what? Do me a favor. Share this with somebody that has a blended family. I believe it'll bless them.
Amen.
God bless you.
Take care. Bye.